should you be playing low tier characters ever if you're trying to compete? We just saw Zero Stress doing work. We've seen some other people do some work. Should you be playing low tier characters? Because Kami, we got to shout out Kami. He brought up this question on Twitter, so we're still in content from Twitter. Of course, it's what we do. We're content creators.
Yes.
Of course. So he asked the question, like, why are people in the Street Fighter V scene, the people who are putting their pride and their money on the line, back when we used to have to get on planes and travel across the country and the world to compete.
He didn't just say, like, pro players or people who traveling around the world. I think he just said in general. He said, well, why is playing low tier characters so common in Street Fighter? What's fun about my man said,
what's fun about struggling?
yeah. And, so in COD, anyone with a brain uses the best guns. In card games, people use the best decks and whatnot. I never understood the loyalty to any fictional character that doesn't benefit you in any way. So for one, it's fascinating to hear Kami say that, just off of the fact that Kami has an extreme loyalty to a character called Griffith in Berserk. If anyone and everyone hates Griffith, and they should, Kami defends this character with every fiber of his being, and that's from an anime. So you do know what it's like to have some type of attachment to a fictional character. And look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, I can't. I'm red-handed. Look at that. I have a Kuma up there in a poster in my office, and then an Akuma figure throwing a fireball right now, right on the other side of me. So it's different, I would say, as far as just talking about it in general, before we even get to the pro player spot, because there's a lot of ways we can go with this. I would say that he brought up Call of Duty. There's no way you're really gonna have to, unless you're trying to make sure nobody takes this country and things like that, and you feel like your granddaddy built this country, then you're not gonna have too much of an attachment to specific types of guns and things like that, right? Because what? It's the M4 versus the Scar or something like that. That there's no personality behind that. But Akuma has his whole own story, man. Like there's story mode for a reason in fighting games. There's lore. There's a reason why after, like, if I'm playing Call of Duty and you get a kill or whatever, right? In the end of the day, you get the same type of, the little yellow numbers pop up, and it's the same experience with everyone.
The gun doesn't have a win pose and a win quote.
Exactly.
It's not the gun doing the taunt on the screen.
My Glock isn't gonna do a moonwalk across the map.
It's generic avatar number 32, right? Faceless soldier number 87.
Bro.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Oh, come on, bro. Remember when the game first came out and everyone would do that every time Karen landed a super? Or when everyone sung, I think we still sing Rashido together when there's a break during Capcom Fighters or we're at an offline major. You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff is character specific. So characters have personalities, whereas like things like guns or decks, they don't have the same personality.
They definitely don't. And I guess, yeah, you're right. He was kind of speaking generally. That's where Kami, I think, is messing up. People play games for all sorts of different reasons. There's so many. I mean, let's remember, me and you, Rob, the people who are like crazy obsessed with fighting games and competing to be the best, we're the minority. We are the 0.001% of the people who purchase a fighting game and the people who even log in. Let's look at the ranks stats. I think like 70% of the player pool is in bronze or below, which means rookie. Like the vast majority of the people who play a fighting game are not dedicating their lives to becoming the best, and that's totally normal. It can't be that way, right? That's any hobby, that's any sports. And I think that's what Kami's kind of missing out on, is that fighting games got popular because they're just cool. You go into the arcades in the 90s, it wasn't because people wanted to be the best. There was that enticing element of like directly competing with someone else, which was new to gaming at the time. But you just go in, the lights, the sound, you see a character throw a fireball on screen. It's just cool. That's as simple as it is.
That's why I picked Akuma, bro, cool. Just because he was busted in Street Fighter 4, but I had no idea what busted was. I didn't know about tier list.
Right.
I just saw this dude with red hair throwing fireballs in the air. That tripped me. I always knew about Ryu and Ken. My man threw a fireball in the air. It was over with for me. I was attached forever.
Of course. And like, so you just gotta expect that that's how it is.
But that's one part. Yeah, that's not the pro part.
That's one part. So yeah, for sure. So for all the casuals who are waiting to get pissed off, this is the part where you get pissed off at. What I'm gonna say might ruffle some feathers, right? and this is where you gotta understand, like, there's a difference between a casual player, a good casual player, and a competitive player, right? So there's a different mentality that starts to kick in when you are really investing yourself, and I mean really investing yourself in trying to win or be the best. And there are players who are amazing players, but they're still kind of casuals. That's fine.
Facts.
They're not totally invested 100% in being the best in the world and competing. And that's fine. They're great. But when you get into that competitive zone where you have to win, it's your goal to win. You are doing everything in your being to become the best. Sometimes, if your character that you initially were attached to is literally unusable in a tournament setting, you might have to drop them.
Even if they're not unusable, even if they're just not good enough, even if they're all right, but they're not great, we're not using them.
Character is a tool. It's not an extension of your personality. It can be. If those two things align, it's a beautiful thing to see. People celebrate that and they love it. Like, Tokido and Akuma. People love to see that. But I can guarantee you if Akuma was the worst character in the game, Tokido would not be playing Akuma.
Tokido playing Urien right now.
He's not even playing Akuma right now. Yeah, he's not even playing Akuma right now. So people don't like seeing that. They love to see when everything lines up. It's really what it is. It's a beautiful thing to see, but it doesn't. Daigo's not playing Ryu. He's playing Guile.
And he gave it a lot of time. And look, bro, like I would say, so just as far as the general what you're saying, yes, if you are someone who's trying to be a pro player and you taking this dead serious, like look, I would never use a bad character. Like there's no way. Unless if I don't care what everyone else thinks though, if everyone else thinks a character is not that good, but I think they are, then I'm gonna use them. So it's not a group think type of thing. But yes, I'm gonna give myself the best tools possible within reason. Because as I always say, it does matter what character fits your play style too. Don't get me twisted.
Yes.
But pick the best character. We're gonna pick the best characters that fit our play styles. And if the best character that fits your play style, this almost never happens, but if it did happen where the best character fit my play style is trash, then I just gotta get a new play style. I just gotta develop another play style. Serious, that's what I would do. But
that's true.
Outside of just attachment to a character because they're cool and things like that, there is a rare exception, Brian, where I would say that there are some people who are seriously trying to be pro players, I would say they're seriously trying, but they use slow tier characters, and the reason is because their brand is tied to that character.
I really like you brought up this avenue, like the character specialist, because I kind of fall into that lane. I relate to that. I'm just kind of in the fortunate position.
Man, shut your ass up, Brian.
No, Balrog's top tier right now.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I've been a Balrog player for a decade.
Yeah.
Through thick and thin. So I relate. I'm just fortunate enough
that
where
he's
my
actually
character
good.
is good.
Like Tokido with Akuma.
Right. And I had to go through that period of being like, wow, my character is ass right now. In season 3, I had to be like, holy crap, like this is terrible. I was going to events and I was like, yeah, this is no longer good. This is a waste of time almost, I realized. And that's when I slowly started introducing, like, just at least dabbling with other characters, because I think the problem is it's not just that, like, I would consider myself at that time a serious player. However, I was not a professional player. That was not what I would still eat if I didn't win that tournament. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's even within competitive players, there's still a tier. Professional players, they drop that stuff cold turkey and they move on. Bonchan does not play Sagat. Tokido is playing Urien. Name any other players.
Bonchan just used Sagat at Rainbow Kumite.
Okay, sure. He uses Sagat when the tool fits the job. Uses Sagat, I would say, right? Evil Online, I think he just got top 4 again. I think he was using mostly Karen. Like, he uses both characters.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. So I mean, that's the pro mindset. Is like this. My career is based on winning. I use the tool that matches what I'm good at. If I'm not good at something that I need to be good at, I get good at it, right? And there's also like Itabashi, the grappler mains, right? Like obviously his strength, he knows where his strength lies, and he tries to do the best with those characters. And that's what fits with him. So there's a lot of variables of like, what do you gravitate towards? What do you excel at? Is it worth the time investment to try to get your stat points leveled up in different domains that other characters benefit from because they might be more top tier? So it's not that straightforward at the end of the day. There's some people who I think have a very generalized playstyle who can kind of go between most characters, but like even Punk, who I'd say is one of the best examples of having that like default, like Punk to me is like the default prototype of what Street Fighter is, right? Like footsies, anti-airs, ground game, and a lot of characters usually kind of gravitate around that playstyle, but you're not going to see Punk pick up Zangief or Abigail and start dominating. Maybe he could if he really put his time and mental energy to that.
Developing a new style.
Right, he'd be wasting his time getting worse, developing a new style when he doesn't have to. So just like Itabashi, he's still sticking with the grapplers, like Zangief and Abigail, even though they've been nerfed a million times over and over. He's still doing work with them because that's what he excels at, and that's where he eats. That's his job, right? And he's still doing work. So it's not that straightforward. There's still styles involved with it, and if you're one of those people who are a character specialist and you're taking it kind of seriously, take it from me, man. Like, dabble with another character. Like, I started picking up that G because Balrog was not cutting it. During a couple of CPT events, I was doing work with G, where Balrog definitely wouldn't have done it. I'm fortunate enough now I can kind of play some ROG and do my thing again. But yeah, you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? And I think it's tough because it's a time investment question. You gotta juggle a lot of variables there. But at the end of the day, for the casuals, listen, do whatever makes you happy. At the end of the day, for anybody, do what makes you happy. If you want to play low tier, do it. If you want to win, maybe consider something else.